Talking now to Molly Taylor at the end of the 2011 World Rally Championship season. You've been taking part, obviously, in the WRC Academy, and I imagine if you were being given a school mark, it's not bad. You'd be pretty pleased.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the whole year's been a massive experience for us and a jump in the deep end, really. But having the opportunity with Pirelli to be able to do 6 rounds of the World Championship has been, something quite phenomenal, really. And I think the best thing for us is to look back, and if we see how we started Portugal and how we finished GB, the amount of progression that we made in a year has been, unlike any other season I've had in rallying.
The cheer that went up in the media room when you won that stage on the penultimate night of your championship, the Friday night at Wales, it really was. You weren't there, obviously. You were driving the car. Did you realise you'd driven so quickly? No, not at all. That's the funniest thing about it. The fog was absolutely terrible, so you feel like you're going so slowly. We were back down to first gear, sometimes, and caught a few cars, and so we thought we'd lost time because of all that. And it wasn't until, we were down the road about 15 minutes and Seb was getting the times up on his phone that we actually realised we won, and I didn't believe him for a good 5 odd minutes. But yeah, look, it's fantastic. But, I guess it's down to Seb being, fantastic on the notes, particularly when the fog was like that. And then you drive into the conditions and you're concentrating so hard on what you're doing that, you're not thinking about anything else. And, it's good to see that result at the end of the day. Now, tell me what you actually do in the Academy, apart from actually competing, because people like me of a certain age look at it and think, well, hang on, this is the Junior World Rally Championship with a different name, but you're also doing quite a lot of classroom work, if you can call it that, behind the scenes. Yeah, definitely. Our rally starts basically the night before the recce, and we have guest lectures. So we've had the opportunity to hear from people like Danny Sordo, Mika Hervinen, as well as other key people in the media and the logistics and the running of the World Rally. So it gives us a real insight into the whole, I guess, series as a business, and then as, what it takes from the top drivers, and they can, I think, fast track our learning process, and that's the whole aim. As well as the rallies, we're learning, what other things we need and what other ingredients we need to be able to put it together to hopefully have a future in the sport. Well, talking of futures in the sport, you now, if you haven't been thinking about it for the last few months, you're certainly thinking about it now, and that is next year. And obviously you've got to find the money. Do you still want to do the Academy again next year and get the experience on the new rallies? For me, I think the best thing is to do the Academy again. That's what I would like to do, but yeah, obviously, as you well know, this time of year is very difficult to know where the money is going to come from to do it. But for me, to get the experience this year of what I need to do well in the Academy, to be able to take that forward and do it again, I think we could have a much better crack at it next year. Would you forgive me if I ask you how much money you actually need for a year? Because I don't think people actually have any idea of how much it costs. This must be the only sport where the drivers actually fund the fans, because you are the people who have to find all the money to compete in the first case. Yeah, look, it's definitely true, and it depends a lot on how far you want to take it as well. I mean, obviously the more time you get in the car, the more rallies, especially for someone like me who's at the very beginning of their learning process. The important thing for me is to be in the car all the time, which obviously every kilometre you do is expensive. So for us, we will aim for as much as we can and fit in as much as we can, but it's so hard to put a value on that at the moment while everything's up in the air. You've avoided the figure, of course, but we're talking 150,000 euros, 200,000 euros, 300,000 euros. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I guess for the Academy, you'd be looking at 100 to 150 really to do that. Plus, then, if you want to do anything else on the side, so it's big money, I guess, when you look at it. Especially if, from my point of view, it's absolutely massive. So that's the difficulty now. It's really good. It's high-end stuff, and you're asking for a big investment, a big commitment from someone. So you have to be able to deliver. You've got one advantage over every other competitor in the World Rally Championship, in that you're the only woman competing on a regular basis. For a start, do they give you a good time? Do they give you a hard time? It's a funny question. I don't think really treat me much different. I've always grown up around the sport, and so it's nothing that I see as any different, and I do exactly the same thing. And I think it's all about the way you approach a sport, and because I've always approached it as professional and this is what I want, and I'm not afraid to work hard to get where I want to get. People will respect that and treat you like any of the others. I think if you were there harping on about the fact you're different, then of course people are going to want to treat you different. But if you're just all there doing the same thing, there's not much at the end of the day that's different. So please dip gracefully into your pockets and find a certain amount of money. But in all seriousness, you've got, I think, 6 rounds next year. I don't even remember where it actually starts next time round, but you've got a few months to find the money to compete. But is it just the WRC Academy, or do you want to try a notch or two up on that? Would you like to try, for example, a Super 2000 car in something like the IRC or the SWRC? Would you like to try your hand at a full-blown Ford Fiesta RS WRC?
Look, I wouldn't turn down any of that. I think the important thing for me next year, as well as the Academy, I need to look, a couple of years down the line, and realistically, I need experience in a four-wheel drive. That's something that I haven't had experience in, so I don't want to let another year go by without doing that. So an important part of what I'm trying to put together next year will be some element of a four-wheel drive and some experience in Europe. I think it's important so that at the end of 2012 I'm ready for 2013.
Yes, that's the right spirit. Molly, it's been a pleasure watching you in the WRC this year, the WRC Academy. Good luck next year. And I don't think we've heard the last of Molly Taylor.
Thank you very much. I hope not. I certainly hope not. We'll be trying as much as we can over the next few months to make sure that's not the case.